aluminum spot.
Oh man, I boomered that, didn't I? Oh, welcome everybody. Yes, there we go. That's what happens when I start the show by myself. Welcome to Aluminum Spork. I am Scott. We are talking Ancient Apocalypse, Episode 3, Sirius Rising. But first off, we got a couple people showing up with us tonight. Some people caught in traffic, some people with their kids, some people I don't know how to get links to because I'm old-fashioned and gilded isn't my thing. I try, but I try. That's all I can say. Bone says, I'm out of tinfoil. All I have is plastic wrap. Whatever works. Whatever works. Okay? I use aluminum. That's why it's aluminum spork. Because tinfoil spork just didn't have the same sound. You know what I mean? So Ruben wants a link. Ruben, I think I could do it on Gilded. I'll figure it out. Give me a second. And that's because I do have room tonight. Usually I do have a full panel, but because I don't, Ruben, I am sending you a link because I need some backup. So, and not just because of that, because you know what you're talking about, but hopefully you guys will hear me as I'm bringing this up because I don't know what I'm doing. Where Gilded? How do I send stuff to people here? Does anybody know how to use this? I don't freaking know. All right, I tried. That is tough. I don't think he's a friend of mine. That's weird. All right, good try. I tried. Okay, so yeah, we are talking Ancient Apocalypse. We are talking Graham Hancock. We'll also be talking a little bit about backlash to the show. I know it's had a lot of people happy, but there is a lot of articles coming out denouncing Graham Hancock, which is kind of crazy to me. I kind of don't get what is your username? Sporking. I kind of don't get it. Like, if you don't agree, I understand, but the bashing, I mean, he talks about it in the show, the bashing of this man, the trying to discredit him as a human being, like that should show you something about the world of academia, archaeology, you know, all these types that money is wrapped up on their perception of history. Because I'm sorry, history, unless we have like written video recording, I ain't gonna believe it until till the end, because there's always something else we find. Like in this episode, we'll see that there were teeth below the stratus that shows the younger Dryas, and they were Neanderthal, but for some reason never, even though they were dated and carbon dated, no one ever gave the results. And I still don't think we actually got the year. He just said he had it done and they were Neanderthal. So Tina said, yeah, I was going to bring that up too. The fact that they wouldn't let him film the Serpent Mound because they disagreed with his hypothesis was bullshit. Yeah, really bullshit. Alex, glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Keck, thank you for being here. Ruben, as always. Bone, Mark, thank you guys for being here. One man show. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the support. Do we have anybody over on Rumble? I don't think so. But I will keep an eye on that just to make sure. I would love for you guys to follow me over on Rumble. We have over 225 people following us over there, trying to hit the 1,000 mark over there. YouTube, we're going to clean up the channel after the 21st and reapply because my channel, the channel strikes, so the two of them will be gone after the 21st. I didn't want to try to reapply and do everything before that. But if you want to be able to talk freely, Rumble's the place to be. It is not YouTube. YouTube is like your nosy, stuck up aunts platform. That's what I'm going to say. And that doesn't go towards any of my aunts because it means nothing. It's just the first thing that popped into my head. But you know what I mean. Aunt Susan is, you know, you reap what you sow. You know, YouTube was bought out by Google. Then they bought out every little up and comer, took some of their, you know, software here, some of the, you know, embedded stuff there, made a better platform, and then decided to sell out everybody that helped create it. Happy New Year, YouTube. Hope Rumble crushes you. Back to what we're actually talking about. So, Zach, thank you. Can't wait to see you over here. Tim, how are you, my friend? Tim Talks. Tim is awesome, guys. He is always on your left, too. Always. It's so weird. Hold on. I think I got a gilded thing. That weird pop-up noise. I don't know what that meant. Ah, there's Ruben. Okay. Let me send it to you, buddy. There you go. All right. Now I can close out gilded and I am all set. So yes, let's bring up what we got here. Most of this episode takes place in Malta, which you see right there is a very tiny island, 2 islands. And we got some great info from Tina. Thank you. I don't know whose PowerPoint that is. I didn't want to read names and stuff, but awesome. Awesome. What's up, Ruben?
I'm good. Doing good. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. Soul Assassin's in the house. Soul. He sent Soul Assassin. I bookmarked something he sent me on Twitter. Was it Soul Assassin that sent me this? Oh yeah. You know what? Let me just show you this. And what I was talking about, Ruben. And let everybody know who you are first. I'm sorry. Let me do that.
Hey, it's Ruben Christopher Haynes here. I just love supporting the fellowship. That's all I love doing. And I'm basically on my path of healing and wellness. I've been concentrating on that. I'm putting out videos regarding that. Living well, and a new thing is coming out soon for next year. I'll say that later.
Nice. I can't believe, Grant, I didn't realize you actually went outside. You got to
I've been known to travel outside from time to time. Unfortunately, it's a little bit windy here.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what you can hear.
Yeah, no, we can hear you. It's just a little windy. That's all. You mute when you're not talking. How long are you till you get home?
Probably another 10 minutes.
All right, jump off, dude. We'll see you. We'll see you when you get there. Yep.
All right.
That view of your double chin doesn't work. So I want to show this, and let's make sure I hide my DMs. Okay, so Soul Assassin sent me this awesome tweet back from December 4th. So stop sharing that, and let's show this. And this is what I was talking about before you got on, Ruben, is that I won't believe history until I'm dead. You know, like that's the last thing I hear is the last thing I'll believe, because it keeps changing. We keep finding new things, and this is one thing they found. It's a library in a monastery in Tibet. It was discovered in 2003. I haven't heard about it. Behind a sealed wall containing almost 84,000 handwritten sutras and scrolls telling the history humanity back to 10,000 years ago. They were written in Sanskrit, Chinese, Tibetan, and Mongolian.
Okay.
Look at how insane that looks. Oh, let me kill the music. But look how massive that is. That was hidden behind a wall.
Yep.
So, I mean, what is your feelings on history?
I think there's a lot more out there, and I've basically been going down my own, rabbit holes. Because again, this is why I love these types of shows. The pushback, I know what it is, but I can say that later. Put my tinfoil hat on. But the idea of I always love to understand what's around me, and I've seen the whole thing. I went and rewatched it. I rewatched episode 3 today, specifically for today. Yep. Again.
I've watched every episode. I've only watched 7 once, and I still have not watched the last episode, but every other episode about 6 times.
Right. And then I basically take that information and go on YouTube, go on Google, go on all over to find things. So yeah, definitely. There's a lot out there.
Yeah. What's up, Lisa? Flaccid Phoenix is here. Liger fan is here. Darren, I hope your health is good, my friend. I always think about you. I always pray for you. Darren is a good dude. Darren told me years ago I could say this. So Darren has a brain tumor. He's been battling that for quite a while. And Darren is one of my oldest supporters going back to when I just did really a Song of Ice and Fire stuff. So it's good to see you there, my man. Yeah, no worries. You're not late. We're all late. Holy cow. I could live the rest of my life there. I mean, look how insane that is. I can't get by it. Thank you, Soul Assassin, for sending that to me. Boosh, what's up? This was a neat find. It's all porn. It's all porn. Well, I'll still have to look through it, my friend.
Well, but you know what's so funny? You're not wrong theoretically because of one thing. It is porn because again, it's like eye porn, all history porn. It's like everything out there. Because again, it excites you, something that it thrills you, and this is it, history. And the fact that you have some books that were sex books back in the day.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, how old is the Kama Sutra?
I know, that's what I'm saying. So then, in essence, hey, if it can be written down and taught and passed on, knowledge passed on, it's written down.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I couldn't get through the America's Lost Civilization episode. Oh, dude, the one with the mound, the serpent mound, that is an awesome one. I probably lived about an hour from Serpent's Mound when I was in Pittsburgh. I think it's about an hour. And I never went. It was back when I was drinking, drugging, doing all this stuff. Now I really want to go. And I never knew, that's next episode, I believe, but I never knew the different humps lined up with the different sunrises of the different times a year. That blew my mind, man. Blew my mind when I heard that. I was like, wow. Let's see what else we got. It's the transcripts from Hunter's laptop.
Oh, Jesus.
10,000 years, dude. Yeah, that's a lot of years. Thank you, Soul Assassin, my number one mod. I'll say it. He's the number one mod on my channel, and I thank him as always. Thank you so much. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Oh, guys, Stream Elements is running. The bot finally kicked up. So feel free to tip over there. I hate to ask, but, you know, YouTube, again, hates me. So it's tipped up at the top.
And here, just so you know, this is what throws people off. When you say 10,000 years, you think they cracked it. They didn't crack it. Think about it. 10,000 years ago is 8,000 BC.
8,000, right.
So it's still within the realm of the story.
Yeah,
the narrative.
Which is nuts. I mean, I just would love to see how, you know, what they're writing about prior to that 10,000 years.
I know what's behind that wall.
That would be exciting to see. That'd be
find out, Geraldo.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I watched that live as a kid. I'll never forget.
I did too.
That was terrible. It's like Capone's vault has a bottle in it and has sand. That was it. That's all you got.
That was it.
You know what? Geraldo at least tried. But yeah, let's get back to sharing this, and then I'll get to show Tina's thing. That was pretty awesome that she shared us. But first we'll go back to the Netflix thing. So yeah, most of this takes place at Malta, which is gorgeous. But during the last ice age, Malta was pretty much mountaintops. I wish I can, it's hard to like play around with this.
Yeah, it's right where it was.
Yeah. But yeah, Malta was pretty much, you know, mountaintops. Which is
let me pull it up on my end. I'll give you mid references.
Okay,
I'll do that. Right. I'll do that. Got to work together here.
Yeah. So Malta. The known history of Malta is about the first people to settle there was 7,900 years ago. Again, like you said, that would make it then 5,900 years ago. But yet when I saw them go back on the BC thing, I swear they went back to 7,900 years. So I was a little taken back by that.
No, wait, go around there. 1108.
Oh, you're very robotic. You might not want to share. 1108, you said though?
Yes.
All right. 1108 right there. Oh, that's 12. I can count. Here we go. There we go. So they're saying it was what time? I don't care. We'll play it here and there because they'll copyright strike me no matter what. But so why? This is what is weird about this. So, okay, 12,000 years ago, it's all one. It's all part of Europe. Okay. The Maltese are part of Sicily that touched the boot. So there is no disconnect 12,000 years ago. And there were people that migrated south to Sicily, but no one went more southern to Malta, they try to tell us. And yet the ice caps were north. So the more south you went, the better the weather was. And you're trying to tell me no one even said, hey, let's go check out what's more south than that part of it, Sicily. That makes no sense to me. So that's the story. The story is that, during the last ice age, no humans actually made it to Malta when it was all one land. Once the waters rose, about 7,900 years ago, fishermen from Sicily came with livestock, domesticated plants, domesticated livestock to the island. And that is where it started. I just can't believe that's it.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
You're at this part. This was the weird thing that they were talking about, how they all migrated to Sicily but just stopped for some reason.
Yeah. It makes no sense to me, man. Like,
well, the no sense aspect, it comes from our stipulation that the sea levels were much lower. Their stipulation is that there was always an island, and it wasn't. That's our stipulation. So that's
no. They know that it wasn't always an island. I mean, that's basic knowledge. What they're saying is during that time when it wasn't an island, no humans went more south.
Why? Then that's the question.
Yeah, because geologists have this is a proven thing. During the last ice age, the levels were down and Malta was part of Sicily. So that's why, as an archaeologist, as a historian, I couldn't just sit there and be like, yeah, that makes sense. Where's the dollar signs again? I'm not supposed to go against that theory that no one decided to go a little bit more south to better weather. It makes no sense to me.
Right.
Even to check it out.
But I don't understand why that's the consensus though. What purpose does it say to preface that?
Well, their reason is they have not found human remains below that 12,000 strata. So there is nothing below the 7,900 strata that shows people lived there when they did archaeological digs. Even though they did find 3 teeth at 12,000 years, the 909 BC.
Which originally they didn't give a date. They wouldn't give a date.
They said they had it tested, but they did not release the findings, which there to me is very shady.
Because then he did it on his own and then proved that it was 12.
Yeah. And they were, he never said that though. He just said they were Neanderthal.
Oh, okay.
That's the part that I guess he just assumed we would think that it was because, him or Graham never say anything about it, but it was kind of weird to me that they never answered that.
If they knew what it was and they would have answered it, they wouldn't have given a vague answer.
Right.
That's the weird thing. So they tested it. Maybe it was inconclusive or something. And
yeah, I don't know. Soul Assassin says go south for warmer food and no frozen wasteland. Exactly.
Yeah, because at that time that would have been the perfect time with everything melting and moving down. That would have been the better climate.
Yeah, and that's true. Sicilian women,
Yeah.
Ligerfan said, was the land south of Sicily any good at the time for farming and such? I was thinking about that too, but still people, you could easily, they're herding livestock and things like that, or following game because there was animal remains and things like that. So you might not have been farming, but as a prehistory, we weren't farming yet.
But wait a minute.
Unless there was a giant mountain range or something to physically block it off, I don't see how they couldn't have migrated down because animals would have been there.
Right. And
So what they did. So what
Yep.
you're saying is, so this is logic.
Mhm.
The logic is that there was a land bridge here. We accept that.
Yep.
But the
Yep.
Sicilians did not go to Malta because of something. They had to wait till it
Reasons.
got till it got flooded.
Yes.
Then they got all their shit and took it there.
Yes. Yeah,
That makes no sense.
That's the sense. And that's a Liger fan has a great question there, but it still doesn't make sense to me because Sicilian, like the land in Sicily and the land in Malta, it is rocky. It is, but they weren't cultivating by that time. We didn't start farming until about 10,000 years ago per history. So at that time we were still hunter and gatherers. So there were animals, there were fishing. So there was land to be used. You know, I don't know. If they knew what it really was and it agreed with the mainstream theories, they'd have ponied up the data. Yeah, absolutely. Mad tipped? What? I got to look at that. That doesn't make sense. Does he want on? Can't be mad.
Yeah, my
Mardigan.
fear is all of the things we've lost, like the Library of Alexandria and all the different things that were destroyed when after I would say the Egypt collapsed with the pharaohs, all of the ransacking of all of the tombs, all the things we lost,
Right. I mean, so much. Yeah, wow. Mad just tipped $10. Thank you, Mad. So I will read this real quick because that was awesome of him, which he should never do. He should never have to tip because he is a host. But Mad for $10 says, I'm finally back among the living, but sad because Scott won't come and watch a movie with us. I still haven't gotten an invite. So thank you, though. That was really nice of you. Really nice of you. No.
You've got to experience a matinee. It is quite fun.
I would love
yeah.
it. I would love it. I would love it if I was invited. So this theory to me is BS. It is weird how they haven't found a lot, like only 3 teeth. Like how much of, Malta has gone down to that strata to that level of 12,000 years ago. I wonder how much they've really looked. Because they said it in the chat. If it doesn't line up, they're not gonna want to push that effort.
There's a theory here based upon everything that was said. Think about this. There is a slightly advanced society in the Malta area that gets flooded out because of, remember those lines they had that were going all over Malta. That area is underwater now. We can't see it.
Right.
So the shrine is built up on top what happened before.
Right, because let's not forget, I mean, where would they be? They would be closest to the ocean. Most people lived along the shore, and, a lot of Malta is underwater where they would have been living. You're absolutely right. Like between Gozo and Malta, I mean, all that land is underwater.
Was that where they had that island that was a Pompeii? That was very similar to Pompeii, but slightly different?
Probably, yeah.
What do you mean by like volcanic?
No, the name. There was another, because there was one of them that was like the bridge, and it's now one of the islands. I think it was called like Pompeii or Pompeii or something like that.
Something like that. Yes. And they were talking about...
Oh, Tina literally just... I was just about to say that, and Tina wrote it before me, so technically it's her ID.
Did she? Where?
In the chat.
Oh, in the chat. Right here? This one?
Yep.
Maybe the Giants lived there at the time, but were really good at cleaning up after themselves. I don't know what you're talking about. She didn't put the name.
Well, so I'm saying, like in Malta, that's why we're not finding anything. Maybe that's where all the the giants and everything lived. The advanced civilizations.
Swept. They did a lot. Well,
or maybe they were very pro burial at sea.
That too. Graham brings up something about lost civilizations. Like we've found lost civilizations that are less than a couple thousand years old. In the Greek Isles, the Minoans, I believe, we found the remains of their capital and their city on their island in the last 30 years. And I'm pretty sure it was the Minoans. Look at Troy. Troy, we always thought we assumed was a myth, but we have found the city of. So, myths mythology, stories, it's not because they're based on nothing. They are based on there was something factual they wanted to pass down, and it became more exciting because, well, stories need to be exciting for people to remember.
And I do believe it's all a woman's fault. That whole, the Battle of Troy and everything. So
right, yeah, those damn Helen,
them female women.
Ugh, disgusting.
I love women. Women are beautiful.
They're when they
we know women. We know women. We know. Just kidding.
But yeah. So this is look at they say that this was built. So they got there 7,900 years ago, and then 5,900 years ago they started to build these monolith temples. So these seafaring people leave Sicily with their livestock and their plants. They go over to an island. They start to, cultivate their farms and their get their I don't know, animals humping. And then 2,000 years in, they're like, you know what? I want to move massive stones. Okay. Like lined up with the solstice. Like, I don't get it. How that even makes sense. We lost Grant. He'll be back.
Do you know what something is interesting here also that I want to bring up when it comes to this whole entire series is that these here are temples.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything you see is a temple.
Yeah.
And when it comes to living spaces, those living spaces are underground.
Right.
Do you notice that duality?
Well, say that one more time. I apologize.
These temples are temples.
Yes.
They're designed almost in the exact same way.
Yep.
They're pointing to the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yet all of the living quarters that I've seen are underground. Or protected.
More in Turkey.
Underground.
I know what you're saying. Yes, more in Turkey. You're absolutely right. Here in Malta, they actually have none of the temples face the same direction, and that's there's a big reason why. What's up, Mad?
Hello, sorry. Hello. I guess I revoiced the new Mario trailer.
Well,
it's really hard to switch out of that voice.
Well, keep it up because we're in Malta, close enough.
We're in Malta?
Yeah, it's right near Sicily, right near, Italy, so you can keep the voice.
Oh, yeah, so it's because it is so inaccurate.
Yeah, there you go.
Lisa's right.
Lisa's absolutely right. And you know what? I'm glad you said it too, Ruben. When it comes to Malta, like that must have been a huge hit to where people were living. So,
well, not only that, because it was thin. It has a very thin coastline around everything. So if that's where everyone was living at the time, it makes sense that most of that has been washed away.
Well, yeah.
But remember what they said. He said it in here. Like I think he said 130 meters, like 400 feet.
Yeah,
difference in the ocean.
Yeah,
but
globally,
that's what I'm saying. Like
globally.
If it's like that, then how is that even still a place? Because I don't know if you've been to Malta and Sicily. There's a lot of parts of it that are really flat and then really mountainous.
Malta, the part that's above water was the mountaintops of this landmass. So like New Zealand, it's the mountaintop. That's why the island's still there.
That's a myth.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So I haven't watched this show, but I kind of get the gist of it. It's the ancient whatever.
Yep.
Civilizations.
So glad you're here. Thank you.
Well, is this during the antediluvian time frame?
Yeah. So this is right before the Younger Dryas, or right during the Younger Dryas, when the ice caps were above Europe and North America. Sicily, Italy, and Malta were all one landmass. But they tell us during that time, people made it to Sicily and, were there for like 1,000 years, but no one went down into Malta. They only went there after the waters rose.
That's what we're wondering.
That's what we're wondering. The land's not much different. The only thing we think is people did go there, but the remains of them were the coastlines. And when the water rose, it disappeared into the water. Because Hancock also brings up these ruts in the ground that were made, and they're not a natural concurring thing. Geologists prove that. They look like wheel ruts almost. And some of them go into the water, like straight into water, like the path kept going to somewhere else. So, people lived along the
You know,
coast.
have you been to Pittsburgh?
I lived in Pittsburgh.
Okay, and
Oh, is that a yes?
it's a and you see, I never knew the scale of Pittsburgh from Pittsburgh when I
Okay.
saw why it's Pittsburgh, why it's called Pittsburgh.
Wow, that's a lot of Pittsburghs. Yeah,
Is it because there's a lot of fruit there with big seeds in the
No,
middle of it?
it's in a valley.
it's definitely in
hole.
the valley. Yeah, yeah.
It's in a hole.
You literally have to go through
that's sort of
mountains to
it.
get
Okay,
there.
that makes sense.
You have to
You know,
like go
And
through a
Phoenix
mountain.
is Rome is designed in with the hills around it.
Oh.
So the same principle here. You have the monument, the gods are on the top plains, in the valley is the people. When the waters rose, everyone
Thank
got drowned.
Yeah, because their idea of, you know how sports players or whatever, they always point up to to heaven. The reason we do that is because when trying to conceive of this notion of this omnipotent in like being that can be everywhere and see everything, you don't have airplanes at this point. You're like, oh, he has to be at a point so high so
Right.
that you point up, right?
Yeah.
What I was curious about was with the ruts that were leading into the water. Do you think that has something to do with their anatomy would be so much different during this time frame because of the more oxygen-rich environment?
I brought that up in a previous one because I mean, think about the size of the other animals. I mean,
Right.
a man at that time must have averaged over 6 feet easily. And the giant theme, a lot of giants. I'm thinking that people thought they were giants, but they were just really tall, humans. But these are the ruts, some of them. So like, you kind of see them like and they're everywhere. And these are not a naturally formed thing. I thought,
Those are
They also
huge.
wouldn't be. They also naturally wouldn't have been that big. That's also a lot of decay and erosion over time that would have widened them a bit. So it makes sense that they could have been something like a wheelbarrow or some
right.
sort of,
and then water and rain. Yep.
yeah,
I'm
or
with
some
you
sort
on
of
that.
plowing sort of thing. Because the way in which they are, they're almost like a parallel sort of track. That's the weird thing, because nothing exists in parallel in nature, and that's the weird thing. That's why it's almost, you can almost guarantee that it's that's
Wheels?
definitely man-made.
Yeah. I mean, look at some of them, like they kind of like turn, like they kind of like move to the left a little bit.
Like train tracks.
Yeah. Like, I mean, right
Or
there
just
looks like a
them-
train track, like turn off. It's really interesting because there's a better view of them.
Man, why would they be so deep though? I mean,
Well,
these
over
things
time.
would have to be okay.
Think about it. These are like 12,000 years old at least. Over time, I would think, because I thought the same thing. They're like a foot deep. Maybe rainwater. These are the ones that the rainwater actually like, dug out even more. Because some of them don't look as deep, but dang, man.
They definitely look wide as well. But again, I guess that's because
Yeah.
over time.
Yep, yeah.
But,
But all I know is the NASDA lines don't got shit on these, right? You know what I mean? NASDA.
Well, these are more lines. Those are more specific
Yeah.
orientation lines.
Yeah, I
These are
tried.
just like
I tried.
different.
What's weird though is we're actually on average taller now than we would have been during antiquity, right? Like Jesus would have been
Yes.
5'1", 5'2", maybe.
Yeah.
But here's what I hear. But here's
Yes.
here's my argument for that.
We're-
What happened is the giants are based upon the fact that, I'm not saying giants. I'm just saying the big larger people, because back before the Ice Age or during the Ice Age, during that period there were much more oxygen, much more CO2, much
Yeah.
warmer.
Yeah. Oh,
Larger.
we all agree on that.
Yeah.
Now,
we're all on with
what
that.
happened
Yeah.
is but at the same time we had species of man, the Neanderthals in
homos,
different
yep.
areas too, because you have
still got
two
it.
going on. You can have an advanced and a somewhat advanced and a somewhat hunter-gatherer at the same time up the globe.
We do right now.
That's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
then one of them got wiped out. Very few of them left. They went around and said, we got to go make them do better for the world. And that's why the different species, since the oxygen levels are decreased, we're starting over again. I'm just saying.
Like Jayne Theory breaks it down beautifully last week, I think, or
Yeah.
the last time we
Yes.
were together. She like said it. She's like, there are so many people that have less than 1% of the original, human gene DNA. Like they were wiped out. So like for the and I would love to see what the majority of those people look like. Are they taller people? Are they, like what is it that they all have in common?
You just want to know if they're white or not.
They're probably black. Soul Assassin. So Comics Division would have been a giant 10,000 years ago. Yes.
What's interesting, giants, the first giant you kind of think of as Goliath, right?
Yeah.
Who, from everything that we know about what happened, he suffered from giantism.
Do they know that?
Well, so here's why.
Because I've heard that before.
Right, well, here's why. Because of the way he is described in the Bible, so where the lump or whatever is that swells to make people giant, it pushes up against their back of their eyeballs. I know this is all very scientific. Just go with me. So the back of their eyeballs are pushed, and it makes them very hard of seeing. So as you're reading the story, he tells David, "Hey, come closer to me." And he's like, "Who is this boy with sticks?" He doesn't have multiple sticks. He has his walking stick, but he's like, "Come closer so the crows can feed on him," blah, 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 right? Well, because the whole story is not really, ooh, this little guy came over this big threat that no one else. No. It's more about, relying on your persona. Goliath was like, oh, big. And all it took was a little kid with a stone.
Kind of like the dude in
never
Happy
had a
Gilmore.
Chance.
Like he was leaning on people. You know
he,
what I mean?
He never had a chance in this fight. Yes, I do remember.
Yeah.
But he also had to be helped down onto the battlefield. They basically almost had to carry him down there, and he wasn't going to be able to move. That's why he's like, David has to come get closer to him.
That's a really, really wow. I've never heard that completely like put out like that. But you're absolutely right, because he definitely keeps taunting him to get closer.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget that the sling. I think for the most part, we always think of that modern sling, like the wrist rocket kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. But the sling was a major military weapon.
Oh,
and
hell yeah.
They've studied like the rocks that were in this valley, and he was very proficient with it. Yeah. It would have the they were impact.
Used till, dude, weren't they used? I'm sorry to cut you off, but they were used till recent history, till gunpowder, black powder rifles. Yeah. Okay.
The impact of it would be massive. You're talking the same kinetic energy of a 40 cal.
Oh no!
Holy cow! Christie Alley died.
Oh
wow! She was 71. I didn't even realize she was that old. I was a fan of Christie Alley. She had some spunk. That's crazy, man.
Children of the Damned.
Yeah. Look who's talking.
Did you get to see her boobs in Children of the Damned?
Yeah.
Kirstie Alley died.
Kirstie Alley was introduced in what movie?
Honey, I Shrunk. The Look Who's Talking.
No.
Oh no. That
Star Trek. Would it not be?
Was it Star Trek? Which one? Wrath of Khan? Then the chick from Sex and the City was which one?
Kim Cattrall.
Yeah, which movie was that?
Star Trek 6.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So big ups to Kirstie Alley. Sorry you died.
Ups.
I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I just want to give big ups to my boy Pookie, to my girl Christie.
Yeah. Yo. Pour one out for my homie. Yo. Cheers, where everybody knows your name.
Okay.
Can you tell Ruben I have been really good this year? I haven't. Oh yeah, because he says you're Santa. I like it.
He's just using it for an excuse to sit on your lap.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I wish.
Dirty. So yeah, this is some of them in the water. It's harder to see, but this is him kind of showing, that they went all the way. See now how this is much smaller. So this is probably what they looked like until, the erosion, because this looks more like a cart. That's not that deep.
Mm-hmm.
So with the temples on Malta, which I found very interesting, because when you look at the map of them, and I'm going to try to switch over, I think the presentation that Tina sent me is better. All right, let's blow this up. I thought I already had it blown up. So these are all the different temples. So So there's a bunch. There's some on Gozo. There's others here. I hate that don't want to show people's names. Oh shit, I did it again. Sorry. But you have like the different temples, and they're all faced different directions, the entrances. And they couldn't figure out why until a woman went back. I know. Probably a dude who made the software helped the woman
Allegedly.
who used the software. Went back and figured that it was all the entrances were lined up with the Sirius star. So, and it was for over 1,000 years that it followed this star, just like Göbekli Tepe followed something in the heavens, multiple all over this island too, which is nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different temples. Yep. And megalithic. So again, these are fisher folk 7,900 years ago, came over, and then 2,000 years later, they decided to move massive.
When you say fisher folk, you mean fisherers in the ground, or they used to fish for a living?
They fished. They fished. Thank you. But if you could see this old man sitting on the rock over to the right, these are massive, 50 tons. Some of them were, and you're telling me they decided out of nowhere, I'm going to build temples, and these temples look like they've been weathered for not just a couple millennia,
Good Lord.
Yeah.
See what I'm seeing about the quality of the architecture inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside.
As opposed to outside. That's what I'm saying.
I'm guessing this is all Malta. Tina, let me know if I'm correct. All these pictures are Malta. But just some gorgeous interior shot right there.
It really is.
A guy must have done that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Imagine having to try to line those two rocks up, the ones that are vertical.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. It's just oh, shit, we're off 20 millimeters.
But that's what I'm saying, man. That they weren't. That's the crazy thing. They weren't off a couple millimeters. What's up, Kai? Good to see you, brother. I said his name weird. Kai.
Hey, Kai.
Is beyond the idea of trial and error. For me, whenever I put something together, I'm like, oh, that's not where it goes. Nope, that's not where it goes.
Right? So can you imagine
But you can't do that with these,
Can you imagine the one on the
100
right?
ton-
They're off 3 centimeters and dude, you got to move it to the left.
Yeah,
like hanging a painting.
Yeah,
there's
get
one
the village.
stonemason that's just he's always half a foot shorter at an angle because he's got a limp leg or something. So his measurements are all just off.
Some woman standing back there no, a little bit more on the left.
Oh, thank God this is actually published. So this is published material. I can show names and stuff. But this here, so 7,000 years ago, a mystical people appeared in Malta. Within 1,400 years, this society started producing their using Stone Age tools, the earliest and most wondrous constructed freestanding megalithic architecture in the world. What is astonishing is their surviving World Heritage Site predates the better-known Giza pyramids and Stonehenge by 1,000 to 1,500 years, respectively. Malta is a small archetype, blah, blah, blah. But so I can't believe that these people did it. And the only thing they go by is who left shit there. That's how they figure these things out. And a lot of the times, the people, I don't know, you clean up. Oh, that's a bone. Let's get rid of it.
So what you're saying is I'm not being lazy with my stuff around the house. I'm just saving work for archaeologists later.
Yeah.
I'm creating jobs.
Completely creating jobs.
Take that, Biden.
Yep.
You do it.
So the structure was created. These structures are created by 2 different types of limestone. There's a hard gray one, and then there's a soft pale one. Where were they transported from after the megaliths were quarried? They were transported over rollers using levers to nearby building sites. At the building sites, I would like to know what nearby is, though.
Yeah. For a paper, you would think they would clarify a little bit more with the nearby.
Right.
But Lisa, by the way, 100%. It's not that the pyramids we see are
Yeah.
older than what we've been told. It's the ones that those were built upon.
Right.
The more and more they dig, the more pyramids they're finding that were
Pyramid
made
on
and
top
then,
of pyramid.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Could have been here last episode, Matt. That's literally what we were covering.
Oh,
Yeah, a pyramid on top of a pyramid on top of a pyramid, and then there was a church built on top of it.
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, that
But,
was
like-
the whole point of.
No, go ahead, buddy.
Well, no, of Jesus was, to that's why he took his disciples to wherever Pan, I forgot the name of the mountain or whatever. The disciples like, whoa, are we really going there? Yes. He's like, this is where our church would be built upon here.
Right.
They've had their time. It's us now.
Right.
The G's is here to take
Jesus
over.
here. Jeezy.
Yeah, but the thing is that here's what I think is really
That
going
much
on
cultural
here.
appropriation there. God.
Well, you think about this. We're looking back, 13,000 to 15,000, whatever. But there are some sites that are not even in the show. But I went down. I watched the Joe the Joe Rogan podcast.
Rogan, yep.
And other locations, and he just flippantly says things. There are structures out there that are 230,000 years old. Okay,
Right.
It's we haven't even got there. But here's my theory. My theory is a cataclysm occurred to humanity, and then we basically said this happened. We know where it happened, where it came from, and we know based upon the elliptical orbit, it's going to happen again.
Mhm.
So we have to keep everybody pointing to that location. So
Right.
over the years, we have to make it so simple. Watch out for that area. Watch
Right.
out. Watch
Yeah.
out.
I
That's
agree
it.
with you on that.
This is just a warning. That's a warning system that needed to last hundreds of thousands of years.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's basically it.
The man where I keep getting, I stumble on is the coordination across the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Because not necessarily coordination, but all these people are coming up with this idea of building these temples and using the stars to align all this shit.
Right.
I get there wasn't much to look at, especially for women because they can't see in 4K. But all you have is stars and trees. You're like, well, I guess we'll build it. We'll build it upon,
Right.
But they would make things that you couldn't even see from the ground. Why would you do that?
Right. Like, who was the designer of that one? And everyone was like, you know what? That is a great idea. Like, let's make it so no one can see it. That's awesome.
Quick, get on my shoulders. We're gonna try to make this.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope.
Tell
to
me
the
how
left.
it looks.
To the left. Steve?
Well,
Steve?
when
They get one of
you
the giants to throw one of the short people in the air, and they go and look down. A bit more to the left. Yep.
Where the
here's
hell
what's
is
so
Goliath?
here's why it's so scary. Okay, and this is why people would do that. Go to the sky.
Mhm.
Because imagine because again, the whole theory with the impact hypothesis of the whole thing of why everything happened. When it happened, or when it happens during the solstices because of the alignment of the meteor shower.
Mhm.
So when you see it, imagine seeing it when the sun is directly pointing at you, and these things are coming at you. And
Right.
that's the story you're told. You're told when you see that sun at this time, watch out for these objects
Be
coming.
prepared.
And it comes.
Right. No, you're right. I mean,
That'll terrify anybody.
Right. The summer solstice is definitely when we go through the path. And then the fall equinox is close to when we go through the other path. So I can understand why we were setting them up to line up with these times a year. It wasn't
And
just
here's-
arbitrary.
Right. And here's the other thing that'll blow everyone's mind. Maybe that's the universe's way of resetting the earth.
Well, it's just the
just
universe
saying.
being the universe.
Every tens of thousands of years, let's wipe it out, reset.
Well, I mean,
I don't know,
That's
just
the
saying.
Reapers. I've played Mass Effect. I know what that is.
I think
Yeah.
we're just freaking lucky that we haven't had anything. I mean, we're lucky that Jupiter's there. We're lucky that it takes the brunt of most of the stuff that comes through. But, throughout the history of this planet, it has been bombarded. Like, we are just lucky it probably is about 10,000 to X amount more years that this planet gets a restart, hit from something outside of, the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about that there, Grant or Mad?
I got nothing to disagree with it.
Yeah,
First time I'm hearing it,
and that's why. And the reason I brought it up is, Matt, you were alluding to that whole idea. It's like a reset. Like let's cleanse the earth. Let's get it done. Let's do this redo.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I mean, I'm a big believer in the zoo hypothesis for.
We are a zoo.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. But if whatever it is that if we're looking at it as not an experiment, but like, let's see how they do this time. Whoa, we messed up bad. Let's start again.
Throw a rock, guys. Throw a rock.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, the
Okay,
orc
so
clouds
that's
the rock.
a reset button. They literally just press a button and a rock comes, hits the earth, and that's the technical reset. It's like, all right, the computer takes a while to restart. We'll come back in like 1,000 years, and then we'll start adding some program back into it.
Because that'll blow your mind right now. The Oort cloud is the Dyson sphere of our location. It has all the minerals and rocks and water out there. Look it up, Oort cloud. It's around the entire solar system. It's much bigger. It's enveloping us. That's where all of the comets and meteors come from.
Mm-hmm.
Any advanced civilization can then basically say, okay, let's direct one rock to go, and it'll hit this portion right there. It can wipe it out from that location.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, there's no...
I'm just saying, gotta think big. Gotta think outside the box here.
I don't doubt that if we are going with the zoo formula, if you're able to create life on a different planet, you're able to destroy that life. Like, there's no question. They're probably 1 million years advanced, than they ever allow us to be.
Even in Gnosticism, the idea of these eons, it was a female eon. I forgot which one it was, but she broke off from the main hub and was like, I'll make my own eon. And it was a dumb eon that she was like, go away. And then that was the Old Testament God, right? And so he's like, I'm just going to build my earth, my people, and kept getting pissed and was like, wow, flood, fire. That's why he's so angry in the Old Testament, because they had to send in Jesus to calm drunk dad down, basically.
Well, you go into different stories, and you see that the old Jewish stories, that the things that are not in the apocryphal books and different, where are all the dragons? Where are the giants? All these different things that are there that are even in some of the medieval lore. Where are they coming from? There has to be some basis in reality to these things.
I still
They're
believe
not just all
dragons
fantasy,
were real. I don't even think it's fantasy. I don't think it's comets. Like, yes, I understand the idea of that, but like dragons are everywhere on the planet. That I just believe we misrepresented one of the dinosaurs, and it was actually a dragon.
So one of my favorite.
Come on, Jayne, jump on.
So Dr. Joel M. Hoffman, he's an expert in translations, specifically like ancient Hebrew, blah 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 blah. Right, has some great books. One of his books, the Bible.
Calm down, Kanye. You're right.
The Bible's Cutting Room Floor.
Yeah,
really good. Has some amazing
some of the
stories
other
that
books?
were left out of the Bible.
I mean, just the I'm sorry, but just the book, the
Enoch.
Enoch. The Enoch
Yeah.
is insane,
Some
dude.
really
It's
known one,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even I know a lot from the New Testament. I don't know a lot from the Old Testament. So, what are some from the Old Testament?
Well, most of them are
any
stories. There's this great story about Adam and Eve after they left the garden, and how they decided to try to win God's favor back. They each were in the two rivers, Tigris and Euphrates, I believe, and dumb Eve got tricked by the serpent once again.
Yeah,
the serpent's like, no, everything's cool now. You can get out. And there's Adam still in the water. And she's like, and she walks over and he's like, what are you doing, dumb? You were supposed to stay in the water. And she's like, oh no, I'm going to run away. It was just a whole big thing, but it was a really interesting story.
I also like, they only mention her in some versions of the Bible, but like the story of Lilith. Like they made them
the first
equal,
woman
and
in
it was
the Bible.
like, sorry, we can't have a woman equal. Like
Exactly,
let's get rid
yeah.
of this
Well,
one.
going back to the whole sex thing, that's the reason why the story was that because she wanted to sit on top of Adam, and that was forbidden.
Yeah, Adam's the man.
She wanted to be side by side.
She wanted to be equal. She wanted
to be side by
on
side.
top
And
and
Adam's
side by
like,
side. Yeah.
I mean, top side to side, nothing. It's all bad.
Well, as the myth kind of goes, she finds God walking around the garden, and he's in a good mood, And
Yeah.
she asked, like, hey, what is your name? The name you won't tell anybody. God's like, I'm in a good mood, I'll tell you. And then Lilith says the name out loud and then leaves the garden to come back in another, guys later on. But anyway, you see that a lot in the Old Testament, the power, because a lot of that comes from Egyptian mythology.
Right.
There's power in name.
Right.
Powering names and powering words. It was almost
Power
like
and sound.
spoken word was a technology unto itself.
Yes.
Right, like if you
It
knew
seemed
the
like
name
back
of
then,
a god,
yeah, was powerful.
you would have Isis. Is that her name? The most powerful Egyptian goddess or whatever.
Well, she ruled Egypt. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
Isis,
So-
there's Osiris as well, which was her mother.
I think it was
So,
Isis. What she did, according to myth,
buildings.
so Ra would walk from one side of the earth to the other, the sun setting.
Yep.
But he's old, and midday he would, take a nap. And old, he would drool. So Isis goes and collects some of his drool and makes a snake out of it. And then the next day, Ra comes and he sees it and he speaks life into it because only Ra can bring something to life. And he goes, Cobra, and brings it to life. But he didn't create it, so he couldn't control it, and it bit him. And she has the antidote.
Okay.
So she's like, tell me your real name and I'll give you the antidote. And that's how she got her power. Same thing if you look at the burning bush, what does Moses say? Well, who do I tell them sent me? He
Right.
knows who he's talking to.
Right, but he
he's
just wants to
clever.
get that name. Yeah.
He's very clever because he very aware of Egyptian mythology, because that's how
Right.
he's raised. So he's trying to get that power.
Well, also, once you name that god, it gives it that religion even more power. So you're right. Like, to get that name, to be able to say this is our god's name, like that's because it was always the god of the Jews, or it was, but no.
Yeah, it was-
Yahweh was like, what?
It's
Well,
Scott,
if
if you
you
go
go-
to 2630, this covers the exact same topic you're talking about.
Okay, so 1 second. I just want to show this. This was the first pyramid or first temple they said they built. Why is it always the first one is the most dope looking one, like the biggest one? This one's like a couple stories tall. Like, no way a people that were just fishermen, 1,000 years before decided out of nowhere we're going to do this. And then it's so destroyed by the time we're around. I don't know. I think it's bullshit. What time did you say though?
2630 is when they do bring up the correlation of Nile and Horus and Isis. That's what we're talking about, the Egyptian gods.
Yeah.
And the correlation to this exact location.
Oh,
why.
yeah, I see what you're saying. Right around here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I like how they keep bringing up. It's Isis and who's her husband?
Horus.
No, Horus. I thought was the son. It's Isis.
Ra.
Nope.
Hold on.
It's not Sirius. It's the green one. What the hell is his name? Because he's like reborn into himself. It's
Osiris.
Osiris. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Osiris is known to leave Egypt because he's going to go around and teach other civilizations. And all these other civilizations have a story about a guy showing up on a boat with no oars that had a beard that taught them knowledge. Like
Aquaman.
Like me.
Yes, it was you, Ruben. You and Jason Momoa. But that's what it's so weird how that all these stories kind of line up with each other all around the world. No, Hunter Biden wasn't there. Yeah. Hunter gatherers just randomly decide to build a megalith. Yeah, that's what they're trying to tell us. Like
One
people.
day they woke up and they went, you know what, let's do it. And some people who we've had no interaction with on the opposite side of the planet around the exact same time go, you know what, we're going to do it too.
Yeah. I don't know if you were here when we talked about it, Jayne. They said that during the last ice age, when it was all one landmass, Malta into Sicily into Italy, no one decided ever to walk down to Malta. It wasn't until after, the water rose, fishermen 7,900 years ago decided to then take a boat with all their domestic animals, all their plants to Malta and start there. I mean, just that alone sounds redunk.
Now you keep saying that, and it keeps reminding me of the fact that I know when Moses was exiled, they told him not to go up to the mountain because that's the mountain of God, and he went. So then that's what I'm saying. So the same thing, mountain ranges in Malta, don't go there. That's for the priests. Maybe.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just saying. But here, this is very interesting when they say all this stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, it is very interesting. I'd play it, but I don't want to.
No. But that's the whole idea. The fact that he left to go off, and that's his whole idea. And it circles everything here.
Right. The funny thing is, we keep saying this about hunter gatherers, but they still won't admit that Göbekli Tepe wasn't made by anybody but hunter gatherers.
Which is really weird, especially how far back that is. Now that we know how old it is.
Right, but they will not accept that it was anything but hunter-gatherers that did it because they don't want to admit that there was civilization back then. See, if they said, oh, there must have been a civilization that built that. No, it was a group of hunter-gatherers just decided one day to build Göbekli Tepe to the heavens because they weren't, it wasn't important to, I don't know, hunt that day or that next century. It's stupid. Keep talking.
Yeah, so the people who are building like stone and who are building stick structures of their places and using like tiny small stone axes were able to build those things. That's
what they go upon. But again, it's just very, very frightening to me in the sense that, again, let's go logically. You have a hunter-gatherer society that lives in straw. Then we know some event happened based upon the geological record. Yep. Then suddenly they're building stone structures.
Right.
Let's take them at their argument. Why stone? Why the stars? Why this? What are they warning us about?
Right.
No matter that logical argument. Well, that's a logical argument.
If they're warning, that's you're making the the assumption that they're trying to warn us. There's other reasons why they could have been lining it up.
Of course there is.
Which,
I'm just saying. I'm just speculating.
What are they? What are they then, Mad?
I don't know, crops and shit.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, I mean, seriously,
in essence, it does make sense.
No, I know they made calendars and things like that, but these are lined up to certain moments, and I guess that has a point. Like this is the beginning of summer. This is fall. Like I think they're more about the like they think about it. They have no lights. No TVs, HD is the sky. And can you imagine the way the sun just freezes in one spot at the solstice? Like, cause for most of the year it's moving. And then for a couple of days, it kind of looks like it just stands still. I mean, that must be interesting. And they were like, let's.
And I do have one thing to say. None of us, very, very few of us have actually seen the night sky.
Right.
In all its glory, in all its original glory.
Well,
if maybe Greg can see it. If you go out to the outback and just look outside, it's going to be much brighter than it is in the cities or near light sources.
Oh yeah, I'm in the country, so I don't have to go any further out.
I mean, I grew up on a ranch in East Texas. There was nothing around us.
But most people, when they see the night sky, they put it in a different way. Think about it this way: when there was a blackout,
not as good as Australia. At least do him.
When there was a blackout in California a few years ago, people got freaked out because they saw all this lights in the sky. They didn't know what that was. They haven't seen the stars.
Well, I gotta say, like, for me, the first time I really saw the stars was the highest hill. It was like a camping trip, the highest hill on Block Island. And I was like, I was probably like 11 or 12. I grew up, in the suburbs. I never actually saw the Milky Way. Yeah. And it changed my life forever. I was like, why can't we always see this?
Real quick, by the way, Mr. Grant, the stars at night are big and bright.
Deep in the heart of Texas. Yeah.
But does it say deep in the heart of East Texas or the heart of Texas?
Texas.
Well, otherwise, if it's in the east of Texas, it'd be like the left ventricle or right ventricle sort of thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Pulmonary something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was gonna bring you guys keep talking because I'm gonna bring up some of the. There's a lot of people mad about this program. Oh, who do we got?
Yeah, I know. I saw the one last week.
Hello, Jayne. All right, all the men, shut up.
All right.
Hi, Jayne.
Jayne's coming to correct us.
Hello.
What's going on?
Nothing much.
So
just had a chance to come in.
I am glad you're here. Give us some knowledge. What do you think about the stuff we've been talking about?
I mean, I agree with you that it just doesn't make any sense that these things seem to be appearing. These giant sort of megalithic structures out of thin air. But I mean, that's not to say that there wasn't this prior civilization. The only thing I sort of disagree with them is I don't think it was this one guy sort of going around the world. I think it was more so that humans were forced to disperse very quickly and still retain some of this knowledge. And perhaps it was in some sort of documented form that they could use. But I think what we see, because everything is happening so much at the same time, is human beings dispersed very quickly and then building and evolving and adapting at more or less the same time.
Okay.
Right. This is a bad example, maybe, but I don't believe in the pre-era Johnny Appleseed going around teaching all of them how to build buildings either. But Descartes, I believe, said, there's no idea or nothing so strange that hasn't already been thought of or philosophized, before. I mean, nothing is original that we come up with. And
right.
You'll see it all the time. People.
The saying was said by someone else before him.
You know what? I was going to say that there's like nothing that we've never thought of or have done that hasn't been done before. You know what I mean?
That's very wise. I've never heard that before.
Thank you.
It's interesting. Jean Wong brings up a good point too. This implication that hunter-gatherers aren't able to build megaliths is racist. At the time that he's describing, the entire human race was one thing, and B, they were all hunter-gatherers. There was no racial differentiation at that time.
Right. And
the fact that we can't build interstellar spaceships right now, that's racist.
Well, we still are one race. I mean,
in terms
I know
of
what you're saying.
Phenotype, you didn't have like light skin, dark skin, all this. Like everybody was more or less the same type of people.
But see, what Graham Hancock is saying is there wasn't just hunter-gatherers. There was a society that was built up next to the hunter-gatherers, which we do right now. I mean,
and it sounds like what he's saying is that we were knocked back into the hunter-gatherer stage after this, this event that happened that sort of just destroyed most of the world and pretty much every civilization except the one that he believed survived, and then went and spread, or at least the people survived, and then went around the world spreading what knowledge they had to sort of jumpstart civilization.
I don't even think they went around the world, though, Jane. I think there was just people in different areas of the world that were part of that civilization. And when that happened, they were like, shit, I got to survive. I'm going with these people, and I'm going to teach them whatever knowledge I know, and hopefully they'll take care of me.
Exactly.
I think so, too. But it's definitely not a racist thing.
No, but they'll want, like, there are people out there, these articles are insane. Like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. Here, I'll find them. You guys keep talking.
Well, I think part of where that was coming from when they were talking about like the racial element was when it's described as like initially the theory was that there are people from Europe going into these other parts of the world and spreading civilization. But what you're starting to see is that civilization was jump-started in Europe as well by something or someone or some knowledge from somewhere else. So it seems to be a global thing that just
you don't even have to go that far back. If you just look at the 40s and 50s, the boom in technology was massive. The speed in which we were able to go from the moon's made of cheese to we're landing on the moon today. It maybe not, but you get what I'm saying. I'm being a little, but there was this boom, and it was right around that time that certain somebodies were landing some certain places in New Mexico.
Mexicans?
Oh, is this an immigration thing? Okay.
I'm just saying the 1954 Gray Otter Treaty that was agreed upon.
With the little grays.
Yep.
So
the mean ones.
Here's some of the strange and dangerous right-wing freak out over ancient aliens.
Right-wing freak out.
That's
What?
like
that's weird because it says apocalypse and you said aliens. That's weird.
How is it right wing?
I don't know because I've never actually. This is a newest article. I didn't even see this one yet. Let's take a look. So I don't want to subscribe. How a Netflix series about the hunt for the... Oh, this is from thenewrepublic.com as of December 5th. Jason Colavito, how a Netflix series about the hunt for the lost city of Atlantis that's not what it is.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this is not about the hunt for the lost city of Atlantis. See, that's what pisses me off. The minute you say Atlantis, because I know that's what Hancock believes the name of the culture was, Atlantis, because the most ancient recollection of this is from, what's his relative?
Homer.
No, not Homer.
No.
His uncle who went to
Aristotle.
Yeah,
Egypt
his uncle.
was
His
told
uncle. I'm trying to
something
think of his
about it.
uncle's
Simeon
name.
or Simon or something.
Nope.
Like that.
No, but anyways, it doesn't matter. But the uncle is, that's 9,000 BC. Because they say it's Atlantis, he calls it that. It doesn't need to be called Atlantis. It's just, but the minute you say that word, these people try to make you a kook. But again, Atlantis, because go please.
It just goes to show that they watch the YouTube videos.
Right.
Because I think that's where they're getting this from. It's like
Plato.
Solon.
Yeah, Solon.
That's who I was thinking of. Thank you. Yeah, you're right, Jayne. You're absolutely right. Like it's they only watch the YouTube videos. They're not watching the series.
Yeah.
But so it becomes yet another front in the culture war, and the latest example of elite conservatives going weird.
Where? What? Okay, I'm confused.
What is weird about it?
I don't
Bitch,
know.
where?
You know what's crazy? They like to paint the right as being ultra Christians, but yet somehow they're still into this whole ancient,
Right,
theories
non-secular.
Maybe they just find it interesting and entertaining. What are you talking about?
Well, the worst part is why is it a right or left thing? And there's people on both sides that enjoy this type of thing. Like this whole idea that everything now boils down to either you're left or right is the dumbest thing of the culture war yet.
Yes.
People can't even shoot up a power grids without everybody going, oh, it's the right ring. We don't know that.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
I don't know. Madlantis was real place and home of volleyball. Yeah, I heard about that one. I heard Kukulkan was from there. Namor. So British journalist Graham Hancock, wow, they at least call him a journalist. Ancient Apocalypse has become a surprise cultural phenomenon since its November 11 release on Netflix. The archaeology themed series garnered an impressive 24.62 million hours of viewing in its first week of release, landing in the streaming service's top 10 in 31 countries. It has also sparked unparalleled outrage from archaeologists and journalists, resulting in dozens of think pieces decrying the show's many false claims and illogical arguments, analyzing its racist implications, and declaring the series everything from fishy to the most dangerous show on Netflix, which The Guardian said. Why has this been allowed? Asked Britain's The Guardian. The answer to that seems pretty obvious. Hancock's son, Sean Hancock, is Netflix senior manager for unscripted originals. Or so many people have been following him since the 90s, and even more since Joe Rogan has had him on multiple times, and the guy finally has an awesome show.
Yeah, you want to know what they've done there? They've taken a true statement and reversed it. He got the job after the series. After they got the series. Right? Yes, after the series went on there, he got the job there.
Boom.
It's also a top show, so that means that there's interest.
Yes.
Which they could have anticipated based on what you said.
Right.
And therefore create the show for the money.
Right.
Well, I mean, Ancient Aliens restructured what the History Channel was entirely.
Yeah.
Because of how popular it was.
You know what's funny is though when that hit Netflix and when that you didn't get the outcry as bad as you get from this, it's because you know why? Because again, this is what happened in 2020 where, oh my God, this makes sense to some people. We don't want them to believe this. Fake news. Like that's what they want you to think. Like this is so bad for you. It's dangerous. You can't think that way because my money's all hooked up on the Sphinx being created by what's his name. Like that's what it all is if you start believing something different, they actually have to reprove why their arguments should still be sound.
And by
they don't want
throwing
it
race into it, it makes
Yeah.
it like that's an immediate way to silence people.
Yep.
Like, oh, it's racist. How is it racist?
It's stupid. That's what it is.
There
What's
were no
up, Ancient One?
races.
It's not racist at all. It's all about the human race.
Literally, our human ancestors, who we all literally share, who were a very small population on the planet anyway. Like, what are you talking?
So stupid. Let's go on and see how dumb this guy gets. Hancock show speculates that a crashing comet destroyed Atlantis or a similar lost civilization. See, now he throws that in. 12,800 years ago, you douche. In a series of events remembered as the
one
Great
more
Flood.
thing.
Yeah,
one more
please.
thing, real quick. This civilization has been theorized of being either in the Mediterranean or in the Caribbean.
Yep.
How is that racist? Like, these are not like the whitest places in the world.
Not at all. They're
So
pretty,
like,
they're
what
pretty
is
tan.
What is the racist implication in either of these situations? It
But you
makes
like
no
it.
sense.
You like how he brings it to really like, because you want to always believe, like Mad said, that the right is religious. The events remembered as the Great Flood.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about a deluge. He's not talking about. It may be called the Great Flood in Christianity, but the deluge happened. There was a rise in the water. There was massive global flooding.
Well, they're anti-Christian too.
Yes,
So they're going to stick that in there wherever they can.
Absolutely. Ancient monuments and wisdom are therefore the legacy of Atlantis survivors, not Earth's diverse people and cultures. Explaining all the reasons Hancock is wrong would take a whole book. Fortunately, I've written 2. Oh, here we go. Reader, he is wrong. This guy is so anti-Hancock and not as popular, so he's angry.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from it. But that's almost besides the point. No, it isn't. That's the heart of this. As hard as it may be to believe, this is much more about contemporary politics than prehistory. Hancock's show and the attended sparring its suddenly popularity has spawned has leapt from its weird pop paranormal lane into the seething culture war fomented by an American right wing that's marching steadily fast into a new zone of high weirdness.
Hey, dude, your bias is showing.
What are they talking about?
This
What,
makes no sense.
what weirdness? Jesus. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
So I get confused.
Please, Ruben, keep going.
No, I've questioned my entire life. I've been somebody in freaking kindergarten. Everyone, I got good grades and all that stuff, but I didn't get along with others. So I questioned everything. I still do, and even more so now. So what's the deal?
This guy has it all in one paragraph. First of all, there is nothing he says in this show that's paranormal. It's all based
on science.
Well, not even just on science, but
that's right. It's all based.
It's all based. Yeah, exactly. Terrestrial. So there's no ghosts. There's no aliens. He's talking all about man, and man has always looked to the stars and how we have set monuments to the stars. I mean, that's just proven. This guy just seems,
and on top of that, he's also highlighting the people's own stories,
right,
their own traditions that differ from the mainstream.
Right.
So if anything, silencing those people's oral traditions is racist.
Right. I mean, there's Mexican, there's African, he goes everywhere, people. I think Lagerfan says he be envious. That be the truth. Let's see his
word.
2-time book writer goes on to say, allow me to explain, please do. Despite his newfound cultural chate, first of all, this dude, Hancock, has been around for 30 plus years. It's not newfounded, maybe to some, but he has been known since early days of Rogan, at least. But for me, Handprint of the Gods back in the 90s. Hancock's ideas have been kicked around for a long while. He's been offering variations on his chosen theme for 30 years. Yes, because things have changed. New knowledge, new information, you dumbass. I'm sorry. I'm not going to keep doing that. His breakthrough book,
Yeah, you
1995.
jerk.
Yeah, thank
Sorry
you.
for that.
Fingerprints
Yeah.
of the Gods
I
was
got
a
you.
lightly updated version of Ignatius Donnelly's 1882 crackpot classic
Oh,
Atlantis. The
it's got nothing to do
Antediluvian
with
World.
it.
This guy, you know what he does? He takes
He picked the book that got banned
Right,
and then
right.
recreated that one to and then he's going to start having a go at the antediluvian world and then basically trying to say that's the same as this one.
right. It's not at all.
It's a straw man.
He takes monuments from around the world in that book and just shows you there may be a connection. Why were pyramids being built all around the same time? Why were, they all, majority of them, to the skies? Why, all this stuff. But since 30 years ago, things have changed. We found Göbekli Tepe. We found more evidence. So even if he did, his idea has changed because knowledge has changed. So the Netflix series adapted his book Magicians of the God, which St. Martin's published back in 15. Medieval and ancient writers thousands of years ago offered ideas similar to the ones that Hancock has based his career on. People have sought evidence for these claims since at least the first millennium BCE. A Netflix reality show was never going to do what thousands of years of searching failed to achieve. No, with thousands of years of, when the mainstay blackballs somebody, they blackball them. Just like the guy who thought of tectonic plates, was wrong for so long until he was right. Just like Darwin was wrong until he was right. It's just archaeologists, academics are the worst when it comes to a new idea.
Yeah, because they don't implement these things. They're not in the real world. They live in their ivory towers, and they just want to basically come in and they want people to follow the doctrine. You come in, this is archaeology. You learned it. Go out and teach it. Boom,
Right.
down. Boom, down.
Wow.
Boom, down.
Wow, here we go. The Atlantis myth, I didn't know this, in its many forms has long been associated with racism. Many writers on the subject, including Hancock back in the 1990s, spoke of the white skin of the Atlanteans, who were a kind of master race tutoring benighted brown people in divine arts of piling rocks. First of all, he retells the story that was told by the Greeks. Not like this isn't his own myth. And I never hear him personally, never really heard him push the white savior thing. He believed they were a world, civilization. So that would be whatever most of the people looked like at that time, because there wasn't that many people back 20 years ago.
What he said was if there was a race of people that actually lived underground in the water like that, then they would be pale of skin because of the lack of sunlight.
Yeah.
Or translucent.
Oh, don't worry, because the Nazis made use of it. I was waiting. It was wild before he said Nazis. The Nazis made use of lost civilization, fantasizing to support their hunt for the vanished Aryan homeland, even though they went to Tibet and met with Tibetans because they believed they were after the Aryans. Like, I don't know.
Well, yeah,
whatever.
they went to West Asia because
Yes.
that's one of the oldest places where there were
Right.
an Aryan type of culture, and two, where the lighter skinned people actually came from.
Right.
The white people didn't come from Europe.
Right.
They migrated there after
Yes.
people were already there who were darker skinned.
Right.
Because they went that far north and got lighter over time and adapted sexual selection, things like that.
Mhm.
And then eventually migrated in waves into Europe, which is how the Europeans ultimately became lighter skinned. So they trace their sourcing back to these parts of West Asia.
Yep.
They figured the pure first white skinned people evolved.
Right. Perfectly put. Yeah, right here. Nazis wanted to find Yeti in Tibet too.
Well, he's on
It's true.
YouTube. I can give him a link.
Yeah, I mean, no.
To Yeti?
Back to the story. He's allowed on
Yeti-cast,
Wednesdays.
he's on?
Yeah,
Oh.
he's allowed on Wednesdays. Just like
No, I meant I could give them if they're looking for the Yeti.
Gotcha. Ooh, let's throw Andrew Jackson even used a lost prehistoric civilization claim to justify the Indian Removal Act, which ended in the Trail of Tears. And I know Graham Hancock's a huge fan of the Indian Removal Act because exactly. Graham Hancock is the guy who hates government and like wants
Look at the
people
next
just
sentence.
to drop acid. But in recent years, Hancock replaced his white Atlantean with indigenous ones, and he has been a vocal proponent of native rights. Wow, that racist. That's not to say Hancock doesn't have some nasty classist and colonist ideas. Actually, he's the exact opposite of that. The dude hates imperialism. Oh man, this dude doesn't know him. Think about it. Could those farmers who archaeologists tell us never built anything bigger than a shack really have achieved all this? He asks at the Maltese temple. It's a good question. Elsewhere, he complains hunter-gatherers lacked ambition, the takers of the Atlantean world.
Oh, God in heaven.
This guy's a douche.
It just seems like they're combining
They're bringing up Tucker
all
Carlson
of
now,
these
too? Oh, my God.
various theories and merging them into his, when his is different because it's based heavily on actual archaeological work and looking at and examining more deeply the different stories of the cultures that existed in these different places. Like it goes back to what I was saying before. You did have some people who are promoting a racist take on this because you're going to always have people who do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you have also people's own stories in these different parts of the world. And what are you going to, okay, take the Christian faith, for example. We were talking about that in the chat. We believe in multiple resets.
Yeah.
In multiple instances where human beings were nearly destroyed or reduced to a single family in the case of the flood. So it's not unique to any one culture or anyone. All he's really doing, honestly, is compiling the world's stories and seeing where they overlap.
Yes.
Here is again. I'm gonna say this. The next two paragraphs, he is saying the quiet part out loud. If you read these two paragraphs, it is they're chilling when you think about reading them.
All right. However, there is more pressing issues. Ancient Apocalypse sits alongside Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and the so-called intellectual dark web in casting doubt on experts, privileging emotion over evidence, and bending history to ideological ends. Excuse me, I can't speak. In this case, making common cause with the right against academia, science, and the very idea of shared reality. That it did so on one of the biggest media platforms in the world should give us all pause. History isn't
not ancient aliens.
Right, not ancient aliens. This show. History isn't just about what happened in the past. It's also about whose stories get told and how we think about them. In recent years, we have seen far too many battles over these priorities. Efforts to remove Confederate monuments are only the most obvious. Texas, Florida, and Virginia have all seen skirmishes revolving around Republican efforts to restrict the teaching of history.
What?
Particularly when it comes to radical and racial and sexual diversity. Conservatives railed against progressive efforts to diversify
curriculums.
Thank you. God dang. Right-wing anger over the 1619 Project and its reframing of American history around racial injustice remains a regular Fox News talking point.
They're saying that our words, our thoughts, thinking about this, speculating is dangerous. That's what they're saying.
This is the first time I've heard anybody bring up 1619 Project in a very
long time, dude.
Because it's been so debunked and shit on.
Full of shit.
Well, we all know it's debunked. I mean, when every skin tone has said that's dumb, It's dumb.
Well, one of the biggest opponents to the 1619 Project premise was that they seemed to kind of forgot that the first Black people here were indentured servants.
Right.
They were free people ultimately, and it wasn't until later that slavery became racialized. For a long time, it wasn't. It was just people enslaving other people like they'd always done. And we had indentured servitude before we had like chattel slavery. So it wasn't, it took time. It didn't start off that way. People just sort of went crazy. They didn't start off crazy.
Right. But
how they're tying,
isn't that how it always happens?
How they're tying this into everything in the world racist is crazy to me.
Right. Everything is racist. Who just jumped in? Is that? Yes, it is. How are you, Zaxx?
I'm good. How are you? How's everyone doing?
We're racist.
Well,
apparently.
I knew that.
Yeah. Well, I'm still gonna make the shirt. I'm not racist. I'm just ignorant. Zach, did you realize that if you watch Ancient Apocalypse, you pretty much go down the line close to Nazis, at least Andrew Jackson racist.
Oh yeah. I've heard that. I was watching on it was Kyle Hill who does a science channel, and he was going after Graham Hancock and was just calling a lot of his chat racist for that reason.
Who was this?
Kyle Hill. He used to be on the Nerdist. Now he does his own thing for science. It's a science channel. And I only watched it because he was talking about Ancient Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And he was going after it pretty hard, and his chat was going after him, and he was going back at them with that comeback.
Calling his own chat racist.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he's flicking his hair because he thinks he's fucking Thor.
He does flick the hair.
Oh,
yeah.
It's that dude. I know who you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Nerdist is good with that. I get it.
Yeah, I know.
So Mark says structure matching Homer's Atlantis was found in West Africa. That's the it starts with an R.
Right chat.
Yeah, something like that.
Structure,
it does. I mean, that structure has the circles, has a well in the middle, a spring that was once a freshwater well there. It has the mountains to the north, the water would have came up from the south. It really does. Like, for me, that's one of the best. The problem is when they talk about Atlantis, I believe there was more land, not less. So
you also have a ton of pyramids all over Africa too. They never really talk about that.
Right.
But they're not just in Egypt and Sudan. They literally crisscross the continent.
Right. That's a tough
smaller.
Yeah, they've shown Lidar of parts of like Africa, and all you see is squares everywhere. Just squares. And those are, they believe, bases, pyramid bases.
But no one wants to explore that because what could that mean? We don't want to know.
Well, think the Sahara was once, green and so
same thing in the Amazon. They did found structures that I can't find, or in Antarctica, same thing.
If someone could Google Lidar scans Amazon, there are some really cool new ones they've found showing these cities could have held thousands, tens of thousands of people.
Okay, I googled it and it's trying to sell me this giant lidar scanner.
You should buy it.
Those Amazon scans are amazing. Like I was seeking out. It's harder to find than you think it should be to find examples of that online, especially on YouTube. But when you do find them, it's incredible.
It's notable too. That structure y'all are talking about in Mauritania.
Yep.
It just so happens, coincidence, that's also the Mauritania is where one of, if not the oldest civilization in West Africa started.
Oh.
So it's like where you have what looks like these megaliths.
Yeah.
May have jump-started civilization in different places. They are in places where civilization was jump-started. So like in the Mediterranean, in this particular part of Africa, in the particular parts of South America, like it's happening in places where if you were going to restart and spread out from there, it's in a perfect location to do that.
Wow, that's nuts. That is cool. Well, I'm going to show you guys what the eye looks like because I'm done with it. This guy. We can go on. He's just racist. We might go on in a little bit because it is fun when you see.
There's a
these.
link in the private chat.
Yeah, I saw that. No, that's the next one. But this is here. Let's see more images. So this is what they believe. Some people believe was Atlantis. Probably right here. So there's mountains because Atlantis is said to be. I can never say the word concentric circles. What is it?
Concentric.
Concentric. Thank you. Concentric circles. 3 of them to an island in the middle, with a spring in that middle island, which this has. There's salt found between the circles, so they believe there was salt water during the last ice, or when the water rose. The south part would have been able to have a harbor come all the way up. It's just, I mean, for anything that's ever said to be Atlantis, this really has like so much potential being what they were talking about. It's pretty, I mean, that's pretty much what it looks like. It's pretty sick. Hold on.
Yeah, that's I've seen that before. It
Looks like a hurricane.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Like a storm. Yeah.
What
see,
if it's telling a story? What if you put all of the different images together around the world?
Oh shit!
It's telling a story. What is it?
And then
That
I'll
blew
tell
my
you
mind
something
just
right
now.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to freak anybody out. Put your tinfoil hat on.
I like to freak out.
Okay, I'm seeing things.
Okay.
And I'm writing them down for last week.
Okay. Acid? Wait a minute. You're seeing things.
Structures in my head.
Oh, good. Write them down, brother.
I am.
Okay. That's what I like
Yeah,
to hear.
I've been doing that. I mean, even now, because that's what I'm saying. I watch this stuff, I read it, and I think about things, and I speculate, and I write this stuff down. So, whatever.
So all of this is a bad influence.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
here's some of the lidar stuff.
yeah, I'm a bad boy.
This is the Amazon. I don't know if they've ever done the Sahara as much, but like this is what they're finding under the canopy. Like a massive city with a river running through it, most likely the Amazon, with the temple. I mean, it's insane.
Doesn't a river always run through it?
Where's
but the
Brad
thing is,
Pitt when you need him?
See, what I'm speculating here is the way that we do our agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
It's very it's not efficient enough, and the way that it was done was very efficient. And
Well,
the
there was a
fact
lot
that-
less people too, though. You got to
Yeah.
think of it that way.
and the way the configuration is, and I'll
Oh,
tell you later.
I
Go
see
ahead.
what you mean.
Yeah.
All I know is that when they came out to say that the Amazon jungle, the rainforest, is man-made, that blew my mind. I mean, it literally is man-made. The plants, things were planted,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just took off from there. Like that's insane. Like
Is it though? Because there's that plant in Louisiana. Oh, Jayne may know about it. So this Japanese dude comes over and he's like, "I love Louisiana. I brought you this flower, but it's one of those
Invasive species.
is it
yeah.
Japanese knotweed? Because we have that everywhere where I am.
I don't know if that's what it's called, but it
Looks almost
started like
bambooish.
That's racist.
it started damming up all the waterways and stuff. And this was part of the time during the hippo bill where they wanted to bring hippos over because there was a meat shortage, so they wanted to eat the hippo, and also the hippo, which they were told by the Black Panther. There's a whole story, but anyway, the hippo would eat those plants and they could raise it as a pet.
It was a great story.
Never
The
heard of
hippo
that.
bill. That's a real thing.
I did hear about the hippos. I heard
Real
that.
real history is weird.
How can you imagine someone that the creature that kills more humans than any other creature on the planet? Yeah, it's a good pet.
Well, because the Black Panther wasn't a fan. The real dude, he fought during the Boer Wars, the second Boer Wars, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, did they win? They would have won that because of all the vibranium, though, surely.
Oh my God.
Now that I said that, I'm actually curious if we do, because so many of these things you can see them from the sky,
Yes.
and it's like if we take them all and treat them as if they are in fact part of a story, like
It might
how many
write
of them would
something out.
align with stories we know of? What story could it be telling? Because immediately I was thinking about the snake, right? And we have that same snake story
In Ohio.
around
Yep.
the world.
Yep.
And then like you said, the eye thing looks like a hurricane.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what if it's referencing this flood? And like, what else is out there that we just haven't put together?
Well, what's even weirder though, how would they even know what a hurricane would look like, or even a storm would look
Right.
like
That's
from
the point. The people on the ground making it, I wonder, maybe they don't know what it is, but whoever's directing them or teaching them
Mm-hmm.
could.
Well, like Serpent Mount. So Serpent Mount.
You would think if anybody's going to teach them, it obviously would be the Asgardian type aliens, not the Greys, because they're evil and they just want to, mess
Right,
with
it would
people.
have to be Asgardian
Right.
type.
And then we messed up when we signed the 1954 Grey Otter Treaty, which we were told not to.
Totally shouldn't. Should have stuck with the goddamn,
Yeah, but they wanted us to give
Odin.
up our nukes, and I don't know if you know anything about that time period. Like, hell
yeah.
no.
We were kind of doing well with the nukes. So
Go back to where you came from, hippie.
yeah,
Star
dude.
hugger.
Yeah. Hey, Thor, get the hell back to Venus, brah.
Right.
So what I find interesting with this one
Like a tree hugger. Yes.
is what is the snake? What is its mouth opening to? What is that? Is that the planet? Is that the cosmic egg? What is its mouth
I
opening
mean, I'm
to
just seeing
swallow?
a penis.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's a willy.
Okay.
This is where I'm saying this is a sign of when the apocalypse occurs, or when to look out for. And those curves aren't random.
No.
There's a message in them.
Well, there is, and I mean, so if you're looking at the bottom of the
Maybe he's just veiny.
well,
They're pointing at each of the periods of the seasons.
yes, the sunrise. So if you look at the bottom right, the middle of that mound, points to, and I'm not probably getting it wrong, but it was the summer solstice. The one in the middle, that mound, the bottom of that mound in the middle points directly with the sunrise of both the fall and spring equinox. And then the one to the left, the middle of that mound, the sun is the winter. I mean, these people knew, like, and also if you take the center of the squiggly at the end of its tail and write a direct line through its like mouth, it is true north. Like,
Yes.
that's not how many of these places do these geometry type things have to happen before we say, okay, it's not an accident anymore, people? Zach, explain it to everybody.
7 more times. And
You're muted
Zach.
though, Zach. So if you could.
You're still muted, Zach.
Oh, that's better. Is that better?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
You're still muted, Zach.
I think that they probably really had a lot of time on their hands and not a lot to look at, and so you would focus on things like that, and I guess you would build structures around that. The ones that or I find the most surprising are when the iterations come down and they're changed just ever so slightly every time to follow a pattern. You have to be fairly focused and then pass that knowledge down to somebody else to have them pick up on that. And and it's all just they have no written language that we know of, so it's all being passed down through stories. And so that's part it's amazing, but it's also why we don't know why they did what they did. But they definitely did do it. There's no questioning that pattern. It's just why and when. And why are there not stone structures in the US?
But there's
why have we not
wasn't.
found them? Why have we not found them?
There are actually. There's one in New Hampshire called America's Stonehenge. Around where I live, there is megalithic structures that are just like in the woods that are known, but no one actually does anything with them. I'm talking massive slabs of rock.
There's some in Arizona too. One in the Southwest.
It's insane.
What is hidden inside all that government land in the West?
I wouldn't doubt that either.
Oh man, I spent some time on White Sands Missile Range.
Okay.
Acre-wise, it is the largest military installation, U.S. military installation in the world, acre-wise. And there's weird shit out there, man. There's dead birds everywhere because they flew over the wrong part of the installation. Everybody looks 20 years older because of whatever they're being exposed. Ooh, man, I got stories about that place.
Jayne, you've been to Poverty Point?
That's
so
awesome.
Tell me about that, because that's massive.
So yeah, that one is huge, and I mean, there's not a whole lot to tell because you can't tell what it is, especially like from the ground level.
Right.
But when you see the pictures, that's when you sort of get the grasp of what it is. But it's massive, absolutely massive.
I got to get a picture of that one because that's insane.
Yeah, pull that one up because that's, to me, even more unbelievable.
I never heard of it before.
Football field size, multiple, huge area.
Yeah, I didn't know of that one. Because there used to be, they believe 1 million mounds in the Americas, and now we're down to like 100,000. But I never knew of it until this show because there's so many different ones. And that one's like in the South.
I wonder where it's sitting on
just got
Asian, Native American land too. Anything there too?
Yeah.
So we were talking about how there's these resets or whatever, when whoever is like, I'm going to try again. I had this thought of like, oh yeah, like Stargate, the whole thing was they cut it off because our people were like, hell no, we're American, or, equivalent to that at that time.
Right.
Freedom. And they're like, ooh, we're not messing with these people, the rednecks of antiquity or whatever. And so they're cutting them off. And they're like, we're going to start again, but we're not going to let these dum-dums read. We're going to keep them dumb. You know what I mean?
Right. That's actually really funny, man.
That's why it all this goes until a point. It's as if someone left with all of the knowledge that they had at that point. It was like, no, we need to reset you guys.
We're done.
Well, they said, here you go. Do what you can.
Yep.
Bye.
Good luck, everybody. Bye, Felicia. So this is what they believe it looked like, huh? I mean,
but that's the whole idea. It could be a puzzle piece. Every single civilization out there was given one part of the piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Bring them all together, and you have the symbol. And that's the whole idea. Think about it. Each nation has each location has, or each region of the world has these sites.
Yep.
Some stopped looking, some keep looking, and then most have stopped. I think they basically have, again, this is all tinfoil hat area from this point on.
Well, we're on a tinfoil show, so.
Maybe somebody found something, and then the governments of the world said, we're not going to dig further because we found this, and it was terrifying. Because if you find all of that, all this open technology is open for you. Mm-hmm. Could be that. And then until humanity decides to cooperate, and we communicate, we can figure everything out.
I get what you're saying, but you're missing one key aspect, which is Americans. If Americans think that, there's power to be had here, they're like, hey,
they're going to go give the country freedom.
Yeah, don't tell Canadians, nobody. This shit's ours, and they're going to grab it and they're going to use it for quote unquote, the better of humanity. But then it ends up as being a bomb, but a different one. You know what I mean?
That's a possibility. That's a possibility, but it's from any civilization. Germans could do that too.
What? Right, but I'm saying the reason because
century.
I was responding to you saying they found this level of technology. Like, oh no, that's too dangerous. That's not America.
Yeah.
So it wasn't America.
They could also be saving this. Like, it could be that all of the world's governments have information.
Yep.
And they're just in their minds protecting us from it. Especially if it does tell us that a given.
That's why I love going on the dark, deep web all the time. That has everything. You haven't seen the internet. I'm serious.
I read in the WikiLeaks. I read in the WikiLeaks about this place. I don't know where it is on the foreign area of the world, and it was it was in the ocean. It was a hole, and all the governments were working together and they're observing it. But because it just kept growing and growing, eventually it was going to start hitting land and hitting civilization. And it was this whole. I think it may have been some Russian disinformation. You know how they do. But I did read that in the WikiLeaks because I was looking for aliens, as everyone did.
So I'm Soul Assassin sent this to me. I'm just gonna play it. This is from @ClipMine on YouTube.
Heard about the Aztecs. Everybody's heard about the Maya. But before the Aztecs and before the Maya, there were a culture who are referred to as the Olmecs. Fascinating figure from one of the Olmec sites. And I made a big deal out of this because I think it is a big deal in Magicians of the Gods. Sitting in the middle of it is this human figure who's holding this strange bag in his hand. And it's just a fact that those identical bags are found in ancient Sumer in the hands of individuals who were considered to be civilization bringers, and they also show up on Pillar 43 at Göbekli Tepe. We know they're at least 11,600 years old. So I wonder if we're looking at a sort of badge of office of a group of civilizers who traveled around the world. Everybody's heard of.
So I have to thank you for sending that. I have to say, the one thing about the show that I didn't like is if you're not a fan of Hancock, I am proud of anybody who made it through a couple episodes, because he doesn't link it together. I feel like he's a little scattered. I think somebody else brought this up. I think it was you, Grant.
Yeah, it was especially the first episode. Especially was the worst episode, because it was just, this is about this, this is about this. I'm like, are they linked? And it's like, I still don't know if those things were linked.
Right.
It's like, over there's a big tree. Did you see? There was a pillar in South Africa. A guy pushed over a cow. Like, are they connected? The cow and the pillar was, but that was besides the point. Yeah.
But to me, that adds credibility, though. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I wish that he would just fill it in a little bit more with connecting those pieces for us. Maybe if he had more time on the episodes to do that. The one thing about this one, this was with Quetzalcoatl with the boat. This episode, right? Mm-hmm. Did he? I don't remember him ever like hypothesizing what kind of boat that was, because he brought up it didn't have oars. But did he ever say what he thought? What they're using for propulsion? No. Okay. I didn't think so. I looked for it. I couldn't find it. So I'd like to hear, like, what does he think that would have been? I don't mind that he doesn't do that, because if it's better that if he doesn't know, that he doesn't just guess. Right. But you could talk to other people who may have theories.
But also, if he does say it, it would be one of those things where people would be like, see, he's a kook.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
you know what?
Stop him now.
Zaxx, just you brought it up. I'm going to find out. That's my new thing. Every question, I want to practically find out how to get it done.
But I like it. I think it adds credibility that he's saying, look, here are the things. Here are the pieces. These things look alike. These things suggest, some sort of commonality, but I don't know what it is. We don't know what it is. That's the whole point of us continuing to search and research and find out and ask questions. I like that, because so often what scientists, historians, archaeologists do is try to give us answers, or they go into it with their own answers and try to find proof for it.
Right. I think that's why he's being attacked, though.
Yeah, probably.
Because it's not like, and then aliens. I mean, if he would say that, they'd be like, oh, we have no problem with this guy. Keep doing your thing.
Mm-hmm. Right. But he stepped away from that.
That's
because he was on the first maybe season or two of Ancient Aliens. And I think he realized, like, okay, do I want to be this guy with the crazy hair, or do I want to be taken at least seriously with some people out there? I mean, there is a whole group of scientists that are devoted to proving the comet theory for the Younger Dryas because of what Hancock has presented and what their research has started. Like, he made it so people don't have to be so scared to come together and try to figure these things out, because alone these scientists probably would never dive deep into trying to prove that the impact theory did happen.
And also, it doesn't have to, like, I think it's a reasonable, I could see where people could think at first aliens or something could have to explain this. But the logical, I think, conclusion would be that human beings did do it, because we have come so close to extinction so many times. Right. How did we survive each time?
Right.
Like, there's still no explanation for that. And so it only makes sense to me that human beings were doing it. Now, that said, we do have, as he's mentioned, these stories about these other mysterious individuals who different societies have interpreted in different ways. And if you're a Christian, you may think that they're angels. If you're Greek, you may think that they were gods. Like, you don't know who or what these things were, but you also do have that element. All of the people in the world have these stories of some singular source of information helping them recover.
Right.
Where did that come from?
Right. I mean, but again, he was smart to leave out any of that, like, idea that it was, because I agree with you, Jayne, like, we are smart enough to do this alone. I'm glad he left out even if he still believes, I don't think he does. I think he's realized that, because I've said this since I was a kid, because when I was a kid, it was like, man is only 90,000 years old, atomically human right now.
3,000 at most.
Now we're like 300,000. But anyways, at the time we were only 90, and I always asked the question to my teacher. I'm like, so for 80,000 of that, we did nothing but hunt and gather. And then all of a sudden, within the last 10,000 to 8,000 years, we decided, oh, let's move in together. And instead of chasing these animals, let's cage them up, in pens, and let's start taking what these little things inside the food. Oh, they're seeds. Let's plant that. I guess that's how things grow. Like, we're too smart that we would allow that much time to go on before we started to invent things.
Give
enough time, people are going to put everything in their mouth.
The other thing too is that in terms of anatomically modern humans in our history, civilization sort of arose around the same time we began to diversify, which is also peculiar if you think about it, because human beings looked more or less the same until around the exact same time. Now, it could be from my own theory, which is this singular dispersion, would explain it. But if you don't go by that theory, then humans also not only evolved all of this culture at roughly the same time,
right,
but also evolved phenotypic diversity at the same time.
So explain the single to people that don't know it.
So my perspective on all this is coming from sort of like a Christian perspective.
Right.
The Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
And how after humans tried to basically build this huge megalith and become like gods or reach the heavens or whatever we had in mind, God destroyed it and dispersed us again. And
that's
to separate us. And human beings then went into different parts of the world and recovered and became different phenotypically and in terms of language and culture and all of these things.
Right.
So that's sort of my take on it.
But and Ruben just said it too, that is what Atlantis, to me, story is. That the whatever the capital was got destroyed, but the people that were around the world got stranded. And from there, language changed, retelling of the stories changed, and cultures came from that.
I think that we're not looking at either too. Well, we're finding it out now that these cultures that we thought were either didn't exist, like in the Amazon, where we're finding all these cities now, not only did they exist, now we find out they worked together because now they're finding the roads connecting those cities. And the evolution and migration of corn tells us a lot about people's communication and trade all up and down the continent, because it went to South America after people had been settled there for thousands of years, which means trade had to have occurred, which means people had to be talking and traveling. Like, they were not pockets of civilization. It was more of a united group
network.
And, we're learning that just now.
Yeah.
Imagine what it would take to have to trust a stranger at that time. I don't trust anyone now, know, but imagine being by yourself on a road with nothing but a spear and a fish or something. I don't know what you would hit them with. Probably not a fish, but you got the spear. And you come across a stranger. It's like Walking Dead. I wouldn't trust nobody in the zombie apocalypse. Even my girlfriend knows I will pop her in the knee if it comes down to it.
Right. A bad look, you're going down.
Yeah, I'm getting out of here. I'll make you sound like a hero when I get back to camp.
It's their own telling of it, though. Like, they're the ones who are talking about these people,
the winners,
fire or whatever.
So let me just say something real quick. Because over on Rumble, we got 10 people watching right now, only 5 Rumbles. So if you can hit the Rumble button, I really appreciate it. And we got a new follower.
Shit, here she comes.
We got a new, you're in trouble. We got a new Rumble follower. It's Riot Rat. And he says, while I disagree with Hancock on some things, I do 100% support the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. I even went on expeditions in Montana looking at evidence supporting it, found some cool stuff. I'm much more on the science geology side of the Younger Dryas hypothesis, and Graham Hancock is more of the anthropological, I can't speak, and spiritual side of things. But you know who isn't? Randall Carlson. I would like to know what you think about him, because Randall Carlson to me is the science where the journalist leaves off. So where Graham Hancock leaves off, I think the greatest connection he made was Randall Carlson, because Randall shows the proof in the Badlands, in the Scablands, wherever those lands are, Northwest America. He shows the proof of a flood. You know, he understands the ancient geometry well a lot more than Hancock. Do you guys at all follow Carlson?
No.
I do a
Oh,
little bit, yeah.
A little bit. I want to know more.
The Atlantis series of his is amazing.
Oh, his Atlantis series is so long and it's so good. Soul Assassin says, I remember hearing that of modern civilization's falls, the tribes in Africa, South America, and northern Russia will be the ones to survive. Yeah, and also some tribes in America, Canada, like there are hunter gatherers still around that we will have to beg.
But what's interesting? You mentioned that the Bushmen, not the Bushmen. I'm sorry, the Pygmies in Central Africa. It was also around the same time that you saw the sort of rise of civilization around the world.
Right.
You also saw sort of the collapse of these populations.
Right. I was wondering.
And they started to become targeted and attacked.
Right.
And in the case of the Pygmies, that to this day, that's the case. Like they're still being attacked by the Bantu. They're treated like less than human. They're barely considered human. And you can imagine that that's how, as humans were recovering, maybe that was our reaction to every group of people we thought were inferior, including those earlier groups like the Neanderthals and the Denisovans and whatnot. Like maybe that was part. It seems like there was this world-changing set of circumstances that happened all at roughly the same time period. It's just this giant upheaval. And there has to be a connection.
There has to be. It doesn't make sense other than that.
I'm giving you the answer. Y'all just don't want to listen.
How would you pronounce ROI? ROI.
Oh, right. But I'm not the one to ask.
Roy?
Oh yeah, Roy. Like without
Roy
a Y.
I'm doing it, Roy. But he
Roy,
goes on.
come here.
Roy goes on to say, but that's just a username from his days back in the day. I tend to lean more into the Randall Carlson side of things. He tours the western side of Montana, Idaho, and Washington. I specialize in the east side of Montana and Badlands. Wow, dude. If you have Twitter, DM me. I'd like to talk to you more about this stuff. That's really interesting. Guys, if you're not supporting me over on Rumble, please do, because I want you to. And YouTube sucks. Though back December 21st, I'll get rid of my 2 strikes on YouTube. So I'll probably try to get monetized again over there. Yay. How about you, Zach? How's your monetization going?
Well, it's going. So I did an appeal over video, which is what they asked me to do. And so I did that and sent it in. And it turns out that they didn't watch the video, even though they rejected the appeal and said a detailed thing that they reviewed it, and they didn't actually watch it. There's no views. So I put that on Twitter, and actually they responded to me pretty quickly and said, we'll look into it for you. And then that's the last I heard of it. So kind of waiting now. And
keep emailing them, dude. You need
sorted. But in the meantime, I'm trying to build a Rumble channel, following in your footsteps. Might as well, right?
Did I follow you? I think I followed you.
I think you did, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think
you did. I will, if you don't mind, I'll put my Rumble link in the chat.
Go right ahead, man.
How's your monetization going, Matt?
Sure. I'm trying to build that up and just have other options just in case, but it's almost it's frustrating because I did what they want me to do now, and it's I deleted over 100 videos. They're all gone, and they're saying that I haven't proven ownership of what I have, but I'm saying I deleted it. Like, I'm not proving anything.
That's ownership. Like you owned your mistake.
Sure.
Like what they believe is your mistake. Look, Rumble is the way to go. I mean, soon enough, YouTube's going to be the MySpace. I really believe that. Like they had everybody and they just didn't listen. And more people will go over to Rumble because once Rumble works a little bit more on their app, for the phone, I think it's over. It's endgame.
That's right.
I really do. Yeah. Patrick Wah. Anyways, I think we're going to wrap it up. It's been 2 hours and 5 minutes, guys. Thank you, everybody. I've had a ball tonight. I hope you guys come back next week. This was a lot of fun. Tim, get on Rumble. You better get on Rumble, man. You can mirror everything over. I got to learn how to, because I stream live now on Rumble, not to mirror those streams over, because I got doubles of everything. I just don't know how to delete it. But let's start with Ruben. Ruben, let them know who you are, because you're one of the newer faces.
Yes, my name's Ruben Haynes. I've been on YouTube
Stop yelling
a very long time. Yelling.
Your volume is a little high. No worries.
Way high.
Go ahead, buddy.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm on YouTube, and I've been on YouTube for about 13, 14 years, all about health and wellness, and I have turned a new leaf. All my videos are about positivity, getting out there, doing things. I was struck with a very rare disease called myasthenia gravis, but I'm still fighting back every day. And my renewed hope, and then my channel will be moving toward, is I want to go build my own house and live my own life off the grid, per se. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to have that challenge. That's my next big thing. And this show and other shows like it inspired me.
Who? Ancient Aliens or me? Just say me.
You, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Hey, buddy, put your link in our private chat so we can share it out. But before we go, Tina, Bojan. I hate that I have to cut and paste this crap. Hey, Tina. She would have been here, but Tina wasn't feeling it. And I understand that, but she sent us some cool stuff to look over. Thank you, Jayne. Thank you. I am an inspiration or perspiration. I don't know which one. Tina Bojan for $5 says, oh, why don't I take you off? I'm sorry, buddy. Here's my lunch money for tomorrow. We're having a potluck holiday celebration. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate that. Forbidden Ruin says, do not delete a YouTube video. If you get a strike on a deleted video, you lose the ability to appeal. I've appealed like 4 times.
I don't think he was talking about deleting videos that had strikes.
Yeah. He was just deleting the videos that they said, we've already said you're screwed. You better follow. All right. So this is Ruben's YouTube channel, right? Ruben. Guys, make sure you guys follow Ruben there. And support somebody who's trying to do better. I think that's awesome. I better check to make sure that I'm subscribed. Hold on. Totally not. Sorry, dude. 147 right there. All right. I am 147. Let's get him to 150 tonight, people. I will share it also over on Rumble.
Thank you.
That's his YouTube. Connect to my locals. I'll do my best to figure that thing out, but I have no clue. But you don't have Twitter or anything like that. I do have email, though. You can email me and I'll give you the email there, buddy. So anyways, anybody else have anything they want to?
Well, I have movies with Mad that starts in 20 minutes. We're watching.
Cool.
It was New York Ninja. Took us 3 hours to get through it because it's cuckoo bananas.
It's so good.
Yeah, Grant was there. Yeti, Slender, Chad, the girlfriend, and it was fun, man.
Girlfriend
still trying
too.
to get. Oh, she's on a lot of them, dude.
She's on most of them.
Yeah,
except the ones that are in HD.
I totally watch them, so I know that. That's awesome.
Of course you do.
Darius. Thank you, buddy. He just tipped me over on Rumble. $5. Scott is more ancient than the apocalypse.
Oh, and I fixed the Super Mario Brother trailer, the new one.
Oh, please. We got one away from 40 on YouTube for likes. So hit that like button and make sure you hit the Rumble button if you're over there. And I am totally going to go check out your fixing of the trailer because those are hilarious. Jayne, thank you for jumping in. I love when you're on my streams. They always sound smarter. They do. They really do. Grant, as always, thank you, my friend, for being who you are.
That's right. Just before we go, I did a new video, an edit of one of Gary's streams to make it sound funny. People seem to think that I was trying to do an actual expose on Gary.
What?
Yeah, and so it's my most ratioed video I've ever had. I've had some pretty bad DMs from from people thinking that I'm going after Gary.
Oh, you scumbag going after Gary.
Yeah, so it's hilarious. So
oh, Supreme Heretic. Well, guys,
check it out.
Follow the racist Graham Hancock, Mr. Grant Gregory, who hates Gary from Nerdrotic. Supreme Heretic, though, has a great channel and is killing it on the political side, getting some awesome guests. I get to watch. I try to watch. I don't really type because I'm usually busy with the kids and trying to sleep and stuff. But I love you, man. Guys, make sure you support this guy. Maybe hey, dude. I'd like to come on the political show, so send me a schedule and we'll nail down a date, because that's how I have to do these things, because that's who I am. All right. Wow, 150 dislikes. That's awesome. All right, everybody. We're going to do the intro to do the outro because we don't have an outro. Do the intro to do an outro because we don't have an outro. That sounded about right. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.
Night.
Aluminum Sporking.